Great bounce back victory for the Sixers, taking care of business, and I was really proud of the best players showing up. Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, Paul George, VJ Edgecombe, all amazing games in their own right. 17 minutes for the starting five. They were plus 23. Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, and Joel Embiid were on the court for 20 minutes, a plus 25. Unstoppable offensively and also locking up defensively. The only slight criticism I have is the Sixers should have had a bigger lead to end the first quarter. They should have had a bigger lead to end the second quarter as well. I thought the bench really let the Sixers down. Nick Nurse decided to check out Paul George and Joel Embiid first. So as a result, you saw the three-guard lineup of Jared McCain, Quentin Grimes, and Tyrese Maxey. And now, for 2 straight games against bad competition, those three on the court together did not work out, gave up the lead. And at one point, Washington actually ended up taking the lead. In the first half, I thought the play of Quentin Grimes and Jared McCain, especially offensively, was really bad. And the thing about Quentin Grimes is he can kind of get away with playing bad offensively because he's going to give you something defensively. But Jared McCain right now, pretty much a traffic cone. So when he's not hitting his shot, it's like, what is he doing out there? It turns out the two-man lineup of Grimes and McCain in that first half played just under 5 minutes and was a negative 10. There was also a small stretch in there with Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, and Joel Embiid all on the bench. You probably don't want to do that. However, I think against the Washington Wizards, when you have all the momentum, the Wizards are on a back-to-back missing tons of players. I don't know. I think it's fair to believe you can get away with that, and you should be able to get away with that if Grimes and McCain were just playing better in that first half and doing what they're supposed to do. So for yesterday's game, considering the context of what was going on, I can't really blame Nick Nurse. I'm simply saying, the bench, play better. Come on. But also, I think that's evidence to Nick Nurse in the upcoming games against the Magic and Toronto, who are way better teams. We cannot get away with lineups without one of Tyrese Maxey or Joel Embiid on the court. And for sure, one of the big three has to be on the court at all times. You can do that. You can try it against the Wizards, but against good competition, at this point, there is no proof that they can survive without one of those three on the court. So make the adjustment moving forward. I want to give props to Paul George because I thought he was unbelievable in that first half, and he really kind of calmed the team down while Washington was on that run. He had 13 points in 10 minutes. After the game, he mentioned that Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey are the engines of this team, and he just has to fit in. I really do appreciate that mentality from Paul George because somebody's going to have to do it. Someone needs to sacrifice because there's only one ball. But I will say, if they're in a meaningful game and you see Paul George go off in the second quarter like he did, I think it's up to both Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid to go to him in the locker room and be like, yo, this is your night. If you want the rock at any point, you want me to screen for you, you want an ISO opportunity, I'm going to get you the rock. Because despite him declining, he still has that unique ability to take over for stretches. You saw that against Milwaukee early in the season. You saw it in that second quarter yesterday. He's really been destroying teams in the pick and roll this season, averaging 1.27 points per possession. That's 98th percentile. But we really don't know if it's real or not because he only has 40 possessions this season in the pick and roll. So once again, I do really appreciate that he's willing to take that back seat and just be another guy out there most nights. But I think the Sixers, Paul George also, can do a better job when he's cooking. Assert yourself more into the offensive game plan. Doing that will make the Sixers more unpredictable and tougher to guard. Swinging back over to both Jared McCain and Quentin Grimes, these two really feel like the X factor for the Sixers. When they come off the bench and they are feeling it, scoring efficiently, it feels like the Sixers win every game when that's the case. And I especially feel that for Quentin Grimes because of his defensive impact. Lately, the go-to closing lineup for the Sixers has been Maxey, Grimes, VJ, Paul George, and Joel Embiid. That lineup has been working offensively. 35 minutes, 107.5 defensive rating. However, offensively, 97.2 offensive rating. Very small sample size, so can't really take it serious, but I really feel when Quentin Grimes is hitting shots, that becomes the Sixers' death lineup. Grimes truly feels like the ultimate X factor for the Sixers during this season. When he's shooting well, they're a different team. In victories, 18 games for Grimes, 41% from three. Meanwhile, in losses, he shoots 30% from three. Now that I think about it, both Grimes and Oubre really remind me of each other. When they're on top of their game, they are some of the best role players in the NBA, for sure. But in terms of decision making and, shot making, inconsistent at times, which means some games they're gonna make you want to rip your hair out while watching them. And I think as you move forward throughout the season, if the Sixers continue to stay healthy, in terms of a closing lineup, it kind of seems like 4 spots are set. Obviously, Tyrese Maxey, VJ, Paul George, and Joel Embiid. I think the last spot is going to be up for grabs on a night-to-night basis, and most of the time, I think it's going to come down to 2 players, Quentin Grimes or Kelly Oubre. And then you got other side options like Dominic Barlow. If he's really cooking on the offensive glass, hit a 3 here or there, definitely need to give him that last spot. That's definitely something to keep an eye on moving forward when the Sixers are fully healthy. I also had a thought in my head while watching in the first half. I was like, is Tyrese Maxey the best shooter in the NBA outside of Steph Curry? So I went to NBA.com and I was like, if you want to be considered the best shooter, high volume matters. So I filtered players shooting over 9 3-pointers per game, and the list has shrunk. Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, Donovan Mitchell, Derek White, Michael Porter Jr., Tyrese Maxey, and James Harden. I think it's pretty obvious Steph's the best shooter here. 12 3-pointers per game, wide variety of the shot types he takes. He consistently takes and makes tough 3-pointers, and he's still shooting 39%. Luka also very tough shot maker, but he's shooting 31%. I give Tyrese Maxey the edge on Luka. Donovan Mitchell, very impressive this season, 10 threes per game, and most of those are off the dribble, 38%. Personally, I think Tyrese Maxey's better than him at shooting. Derek White, better catch and shoot shooter than Tyrese Maxey, but off the dribble with more responsibility this season, he's shooting 33.6%. 41% for Michael Porter Jr., and we know he takes incredibly tough shots. This season, I feel like MPJ and Maxey are pretty even. I will say Maxey takes more step backs and things like that, but just go look at Porter Jr.'s film. He'd be making some crazy shots. James Harden, 36%, 9 attempts per game. I think off the dribble with the step backs, Harden is a bit better than Maxey. But as an all-around shooter, I'll take Maxey for this season for sure. So I think he's the second best shooter in the NBA, to be honest. That's all I got, though. And Sixers, if you're listening, if you beat Orlando and Toronto back-to-back the next 2 games, all is forgiven for that loss against Denver.